Hello, everybody. I hope you all are having a beautiful day. I'm just chilling here with my house cat, Dracula. So, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the current situation that's going on with Israel and Palestine. And I wanted to use some historical references to try to get people to understand what Europe is doing, uh, the UK and the West. So, if you guys know, if you look at the timeline of Britain, a lot of people from the British Empire have been colonized, a lot of different countries. And a lot of times there have been a lot of political situations where in the past, Britain and the United States have funded different things, funded different wars and conflicts. Well, what I'm starting to notice is that what these European type countries are doing is they're starting a war or a conflict and then having a bunch of those people flee to their countries. So, um, if you look at Israel right now, it's a bunch of really European people that's going back to this land, and so then there'll be European Jews, right? Look at what has happened with African Americans, right? We're Africans, but now we are technically European or Western Africans. We are African Americans. So if you look at what's happening to these Islamic Arabic countries, I think they're next. I think what's happening is you notice how like a bunch of the Middle East has had conflict and destruction, and then you had a bunch of Arab and Islamic settlers come to America and Europe and different places, and it's actually visible if you notice. Okay, I'll use myself as an example first. We'll use African Americans, right? If you look at now, the couple of people I'm about to name are different in ideology than I am. We'll call it political affiliation. But look at people like the Hodge twins and Candace Owens and Terrell K. Williams, I think his name is. I hope I'm saying that right. The guy that wears the MAGA hat and eats the fried chicken. Now, if you notice, those are American Africans, African Americans, or American blacks, if you will, or browns. Now take it to like the Jewish community, Jordan Peterson and different people like that. Those are European Jews. They're not like of Jewish Semitic descent. When I say that, like a couple of people might want to argue with me about what I just said, but what I'm saying is they're predominantly European. Look at what's happening with Ukraine, right? You have Russia, but then you have the Ukrainians that want to be European. And so then what America's doing is creating a European sector, or the West and the EU are creating European sectors of these countries. Look at Taiwan, right? They're creating a bunch of European American Chinese or Asians, right? And then what happens is those Asians go off into Asia and China and slowly assimilate the country using civil unrest and civil conflict. We'll call it democracy. So back to the Arab example. What I think is happening is I think America and these different countries are having a bunch of Arabic people come to the United States and EU. So then you have European Arabic people. Okay, so this might sound strange, but just hear me out. Look at Ali Dawa and Muhammad Hijab, I think that's his name, and all these like when I say super intelligent, I'm not saying the European way of life is super intelligent. I'm not saying they're unintelligent. What I am basically saying is that they're westernizing, Europeanizing, and this is why countries are fighting back. I believe this is why Russia is fighting Ukraine. I believe this is why China did what it did to Taiwan. I believe this is why South Africa didn't work out. You notice now they have a sector of Europeans that are African now. You hear people talk, they'll be like, Africans come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and there's white Africans everywhere. Like, you guys see what I'm saying? It's what's happening is these European countries are slowly destroying a country, colonizing it, and then when a bunch of the inhabitants go back to the motherland, European countries, and America, then they start to westernize them, and then you get your own people to attack the original culture. That's why I brought up like Candace Williams and the Hodge twins. They attacked the African American community, and they're African American. You look at different people in the Jewish community that might do that. They might be super Americanized, and so they attack the Jewish culture and everything about it. Or you might have Arabic people that do that. I saw this one guy, Arabic dude, that was like, "Don't boycott Israel, trust their way of life." And I see a bunch of Muslims that are like, "Stand with Israel," and I'm like, "What?" But I understand what's happening. Like, there's like, I can show a picture at the end of this video, or I can, so these countries, I'll give you an example like the Middle East. When we went to war with the Middle East, there was a bunch of destruction and war. We gave a bunch of people our way of life, and they saw it as amazing. Democratic Coca-Colas and cigarettes and freedom and do whatever you want and democratic processes, right? It's like a whole time frame. Then once we go in and start destroying all the stuff, trying to free people and help them from their oppressive way, all these people come back. And then you have, the Americas and Europe, no, not in our country, the immigrant haters, not in our country, blah, blah, blah. Well, then you raise a generation of super European and westernized people that were once originally of a different culture. You then get these people to either go assimilate that country themselves or fight that country and make it seem as if the European way is better. I'll give you an example. Muhammad Jihad says something really intelligent to me. They asked him if he was egotistical, and his response was amazing. I was like, he's got a point. He's like, I'm born in an egotistical world. All these other people say and do egotistical things, and then when I do them, I'm the problem. I'll give you he gave a really good example too. He was like, in the European culture, he was like, if a Muslim man was to go up to two lesbians and ask them why are they gay, the lesbians would probably, I'm not going to say what they would do, but based on my own perception and how people respond, they would more than likely, who the fuck are you talking to? This is my way of life. Who are you to question me? And like get really offended, right? So then he flipped the script and said, now take a Caucasian man going up to a couple of Muslim women and asking them why they wear head hijabs and different things like that, or whatever it's called, head wraps. And if the Muslim woman were to react in the same way as those lesbian women would, she would be seen as violent and or out of her mind. We're basically put in a world where nothing is even. And then when people level the playing field, they're seen as terrorists or bad guys. And this was another point I want to bring up. 20,000 civilians dead. So when Russia does it to Ukraine, it's bad. When Israel does it to Palestine, we all turn our heads and don't condemn it. It's a matter of which country you follow. It's none of politics, all of it. It's basically people killing each other and then justifying it. And then I see a bunch of vain people in these European countries say, oh, I don't have to deal with it. It's not my country. Oh, they shouldn't be religious. Oh, they shouldn't be violent. The reason your European countries are so peaceful is because you took things like the gun and other inventions. Okay, so before I get into that, Greek, you ask a lot of people who are the scientists or who are the forefathers of philosophy and all those things, and they'll say the Greeks, right? But that's not true. The Egyptians had a lot of this technology, and the reason I'm saying technology is because they're running sewer systems. They had knowledge of electromagnetism and lighting and EM waves. That scientists keep saying the pyramids are from aliens, because what will happen is the splashing of the wave will create vibrations. The vibrations travel through the sand and travel up the pyramid, and it creates a charge and a current. And now they're saying the pyramids are electromagnetic and have mechanics involved in them. And so actually in ancient Egypt too, they had copper lighting and lights. And what they would do is mix different chemicals with copper, and they, like archaeologists are finding these things. And so basically what I'm saying is They're Europe is egocentric, is becoming egocentric and like trying to subtly destroy the rest of the world and create cultures out of the rest of the world with them. You look at a lot of like Egyptians and stuff. They're like really pale color skin now, but that's from Britain invading the whole world and taking everything over and years of assimilation. And then people, like if you look at India and the Indian culture, like it's a thing to be with pale people and to be like, same with Asian culture. So like, am I saying that's bad? You're gonna be into what you're into. What I'm saying is we are basically destroying other cultures from the Western and European perspective. And then after their culture is destroyed, we're basically like, oh, look, it's bad, it's bad. And then trying to assimilate people to our way of life and then using those same people to go back and attack their own culture, civil wars and whatnot. So I see a lot in the African American community, like black people everywhere, just raps bad, this bad, blah, 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 bad. They don't have no solutions. They're just destroying their own community. After the Europeans and American culture destroyed them. It's like crap rolls downhill, and instead of stopping it, they're perpetuating it. It's like perpetual motion, which isn't real, right? But then humans are perpetually stupid then. So, like the whole standing with Israel, standing with Palestine, it's just like a bunch of murder. You guys are murdering each other. Nothing's coming of it, and the older I get, the more I realize people keep saying, then what's the solution? There is none. If they want to kill each other, then I guess. But what I'm saying is I don't respect this shit at all. And I pay taxes and my money goes towards these wars. And I'm sick of it. So I don't know, man. All the insensitive people online that just viciously murder people with words and attack each other and stuff for no reason. I guess. All the sarcastic people out there and just mean, violent people. I guess free will. Do what you're going to do. But arguing back and forth, if you do have the common sense to understand what I'm saying, you can change people in a way of like helping them see differently, but nothing's concrete. Everything's relative to a metaphor or an example of something else. So I don't know. Stop fighting and arguing. And like the European countries are doing something really nasty right now. And people will look at me and say, oh, Muslims murder each other. They throw gays off the roof. They do this and that. Are you kidding me? Like the problem I have with most people in the European culture is that like a lot of them are Christian too. Christianity was violent and murderous for 2,000 years. You all did all the murder and violence and assimilated all this land and took over all these resources and did all this stuff. Now you're looking at other cultures on a high horse going, violent, religious, ill. I don't understand it. I guess it'd be better off to like leave people. So I guess for Israel, okay, it happened. You lost 1,200 people, but like you all have killed 20,000 people, 8,000 children. So where's the balance? Like for me, if I move into a neighborhood and it's that bad, I'm not going to stay there, I guess, if I have the option. You guys move there. So I'm not in Israel. I see videos of you spitting on people. You guys don't even like blacks. I don't, that's why I don't like advocating for a lot of different people. Like even if I talk for the Arabs, you all colonized North Africa and have been using Africans for slaves for a long time. You all were slave trading before the Europeans. And then the Europeans, you all are like doing very disgusting things right now, politically. And money isn't real. So all this paying taxes, the rich are basically gaining resources. So if there is an epidemic for the earth, you know they have a space station now, right? So like, whatever. I'll let you all figure it out. Europe, chill out, I guess. But who can hear me? Nobody. Everybody's you're gonna bow to the Lord. That's all. That's all. You're like bots. Nobody thinks. Your soul in the afterlife. That's all they can say. And then you go to a different religion. That's all they do. They argue and fight over nothing. None of it's real. Except to conceptualize making it real inside your own imaginations. So keep killing each other, and because that's what you're going to do. That's what you're programmed to do. You're programs and bots. So keep threatening people for peaceful Jesus, you Christians, you all have a murderous past. You know a tree by its fruits. Muslims and Jewish people, just, I don't know. Allah and Hashem, they're both gods. They're both never going to stop. So enjoy your lives. And it, culture is a good thing, man, I guess, but you got to step out and look in. You got to like break down the whole universe, break down everything you understand and know, and just free learn it all. You cannot be biased. You have to just reset. If you don't, you're not going to stop and you're going to crash into each other. So anybody who can hear me and is willing, reset. Start listening to flat earthers. When I say listen to them, I don't mean take like understand people. You're a Jewish person that has a problem with Muslims. Get into their culture, learn about it. You're an African American that has a problem with how Europeans and Caucasians have been treating us in the world for a long time. Learn, try to understand, try your best. If you can't, just get out the way. Because sometimes you can't change people. I've talked to people online that are nuts. This dude, what this dude on Facebook under a post about NASA said that everything's fake. The atheists and the scientists are all gonna pay and they're gonna beg for mercy and they're going to all be destroyed. And so I asked him a simple question. In order for you to find peace, do they have to be destroyed? Just a simple question. And he left me like 16 paragraphs of just, I mean, some were scriptures, some were judgments, some were, we're all going to pay. Then he called me a dirty evolutionary atheist. Didn't even tell him I was an atheist or anything. It's like a bot that won't stop. So live your life the best you can. And I hope you guys can find peace wherever you're at and share food. And I don't even believe in violence, so I don't believe in overthrows. So try your best. Whatever you're going to do, live life, I guess.